Hello students, I am here with another video from the new chapter of class 10th from NCERT book. The name of this chapter is Acids, Bases and Salts. So before discussing the chapter, I would just like to tell you about the topics which are to be discussed in this chapter. So in the chapter of acids, bases and salt, the following topics are to be discussed. The first topic which we are going to discuss will be the introduction of acids and bases together with the properties of the acids and bases. Next we are going to discuss about the indicators, in which we will discuss about the natural as well as the synthetic indicators. Fine. Next we'll discuss about the chemical properties of acids and bases. Next we'll discuss about the things which is common between acids and bases. Fifth point we are going to discuss will be how strong these acids and bases are and why this acidity and basicity is being determined. Next we'll discuss about the importance of pH in everyday life. Before that I'll tell you about the concept of calculating pH and about pH value. Next is the topic of salts, and the last topic will be the chemicals which are formed from the common salts. Okay, so we'll discuss about the different types of common salts. Okay, next first slide I'm showing you, this is the mind map for the chapter acids, bases and salt. That is telling you about the topics which will be covered in this chapter. That will be the chemical properties. Next, that will be the similarities between acids, bases and salts. In this we'll discuss about the properties of acids in water, properties of acids in with the bases, and many other things are going to discuss. Next is the strength of acids and bases. Bases will be told in the form of about pH values and pH uses of pH. Okay, then next is the salt, in which you will study about bleaching powder, baking soda, washing soda, water of crystallization. Okay, so this much we are going to study in this chapter. Next we'll start with the chapter of acids, bases and salts. 15 different chemical elements are known at present. So these elements are combined to form large number of compounds. On the basis of their chemical properties, all these compounds can be classified into three groups, that is acids, bases and salts. So in this chapter we'll study about these three compounds, that is acids, bases and salt, in detail. Let us now start with the acids and bases. In order to know whether the substance is acid or a base or a salt, that is, first we'll discuss about the difference between acids and bases. Then how are these going to be determined by the help of the word that is called indicator. Now what is the meaning of the word indicator first? So indicators are used for testing acids and bases. Now these acids and bases, they are distinguished on the basis of the different types of indicators. Now first let me just tell you about the concepts of indicators. So this indicator is used, it is a form of a chemical, it is a form of a special type of chemical which is utilized, which is used for detecting the difference between acids and bases. Okay, so this acids and bases will be tested using these indicators. So indicators are of two types. First is the natural indicator and the synthetic indicators. Okay, synthetic indicators. So what do you mean by natural indicators? Those indicators which are going to show the change in the color and they are obtained naturally. So these indicators are obtained from nature and they are formed from the natural substances. Okay, so and synthetic indicators are those which are obtained from the which is obtained or which is man-made. It is made in the laboratories. So this indicators are going to change color when we are using them with different kinds of chemical, and they are only going to distinguish between acids and bases. So an indicator is a dye that changes color when it is put into acids or bases. The indicator gives different colors with acids and bases. Okay, thus an indicator tells whether the substance we are testing is an acid or it is a base by seeing the change in its color. So please remember that whenever any indicator is changing its color, it means it is going to react with that acids or bases, and then we are going to decide about, according to the color which is being indicated by that indicator, So we'll decide that whether the given substance will be falling in which category. Next, in other words, an indicator tells us whether a substance we are testing is acidic or basic by changing its color. So three important indicators for testing the acids and bases are litmus, then methyl orange and phenolphthalein. So these are the three indicators in which litmus is the natural indicator, whereas methyl orange and phenolphthalein, these two are the synthetic or artificial indicators which are prepared by human beings. The most common indicators which is used for testing acids and bases in the laboratory is the litmus. Okay, so I think you all have seen in class 9th also we have done the experiment for using that litmus paper. So that litmus is going to tell you about the various types of changes which is going on, which is going to decide that whether the given substance is that is acid or a base. Okay, now litmus is of two types. Litmus is obtained from the lichen. Okay, lichen means it is a symbiont where algae and fungi they are going to live together. So when we are extracting the extract or the chemical from the lichen, that becomes litmus, that is known as litmus. So it is in the paper form. It is of two type. First one is the blue litmus and second one is the red litmus. So blue litmus, it is turned in the form of paper again. So this paper is of blue color and one paper is of red in color. So two types of litmus is there. Now and acid and bases will be tested with these two indicators, with these two litmus papers. So we are going to take blue litmus paper and red litmus paper for testing acids and bases. Okay, so this an acid is going to turn blue litmus into red and bases is going to turn red litmus into blue. Okay, so this is about testing the acids and bases using the litmus paper. Next is the convenient way to find out whether a solution is acidic or basic is to test it with litmus. Okay, litmus is obtained in the form of the liquids also, not only in the paper form. It is also obtained in the form of solutions. Okay, if a drop, now how are you going to test this? If a drop of a given solution turns blue litmus to red, then the given solution will be acidic in nature. Okay, it is an acid, it means it is an acid. Now for example, orange juice or lemon juice or any other substance which is present which is having acidic characters in it. Okay, so that is known as that will be turning blue litmus to red. Okay, so this will be the test about testing for the acidic solutions. Now next is the testing for basic solutions. If we drop a given substance, if a drop of a given substance turns red litmus to blue, so you could see here that it is turning blue. Okay, it is turning red. So next is this when we are testing red litmus paper. So this is the red litmus paper which if we drop it in any basic solution, it is going to turn into red. So or it will be a base or an alkali. Now I'll just tell you what is the meaning of alkali in the further slides. For example, the sodium hydroxide solution, that is caustic soda solution, turns red litmus to blue. So sodium hydroxide is basic in nature or it is alkaline in nature. In other words, sodium hydroxide is basic or alkali. Please note that a water soluble base is called alkalis. Okay, so one example is being given here that what is the meaning of the word alkali? Alkalis are those bases which are dissolved in water. So most of the bases, they are soluble in water. Whichever bases which is soluble in water and we can obtain an aqueous solution from that, they are known as the alkalis. Okay, so bases are going to give you is going to turn red litmus to blue, and acids are going to turn blue litmus to red. Okay, now litmus is a natural indicator which is its color is purple. Okay, it is made from blue and it is made into blue and red litmus for the sake of convenience, so that it could be indicated by seeing the color of the litmus paper, that which solution has to be tested with which type of litmus paper. Okay, now next indicator are the phenolphthalein and methyl orange. Now these are the synthetic indicators. Okay, now methyl orange, as the name suggests, it is orange in color. So methyl orange indicator gives red color with acidic solution. Please remember, it is going to turn that orange solution into red solution when methyl orange is reacted with acid. With the base, this methyl orange indicator gives yellow color with the basic solution. Fine. So yellow color is obtained from methyl orange indicator when basic solution is added to it. Next is the neutral color phenolphthalein is color, and next is the natural color. The natural color of phenolphthalein. Next indicator we will study about is the phenolphthalein. So I hope that you all have heard about these names, phenolphthalein and the litmus. At least these two names will be you people will be familiar with it, because we have also seen it in the labs, as well as while studying in class 7th also this was being taught. Then next is the natural color of this phenolphthalein is colorless. Okay, it is just similar to that of the liquid, that similar to that of the water. It is colorless. Now when the color change takes place in the indicator as given below, phenolphthalein indicator is colorless in the solution, in the acidic solution. So there will be no effect on acidic solution, as it will remain colorless, means it will remain in the form of water. See, this one is the example of phenolphthalein in acids. So this is the true color of the phenolphthalein, and this one is methyl orange, which is showing you that it is turning this color, one color in acid and other color in bases. Okay. So this phenolphthalein is going to give colorless in acidic solution, means no change. Then it is going to indicate pink in color when it is falling in the, it is mixed with the basic solution. So please remember that phenolphthalein is colorless initially, then it is going to turn to pink or magenta in the form of when it is mixed with the basic solution. Okay, and phenolphthalein is not going to show any color change when it is mixed with the acidic solution. It will remain colorless. Similarly, this methyl orange, you could see here in this picture that methyl orange is initially orange in color, and once it is added to acidic solution, it turns to red in color, and when it is added to basic solution, it turns yellow in color. Fine. Next are the other indicators. See, this is an example. This is the diagram for lichen, from which we can obtain litmus from it. So turmeric is also a natural indicator. Okay, so the turmeric, which is a spice which is used in our home as a spices for flavoring our gravies of the food material. So this is called this is also a form of natural indicator. Okay, so turmeric contains yellow dye in it. It turns red with the basic solution. Okay, so we can see this, we can do this experiment also at home, that when we will add one drop of this turmeric solution on any piece of cloth, and then we are going to put that cloth in the basic solution, means we are going to rub some soap water to it. Then what you will be able to see that there is a color change, that turmeric is going to change from yellow to red in color. So many times we have noticed that this yellow stain of curry on the white cloth, which is due to the presence of turmeric in the curry, turns reddish brown when soap is rubbed on it. Now why soap? Because soap is having basic solutions in it, means soap is a basic substance which when rubbed on this turmeric stain, it is going to turn to reddish brown. So this stain turns to yellow again when cloth is rinsed with plenty of water. This is because this basic solution is removed when we are immersing that cloth in the water. So it is just kind of a reversible reaction. Similar reactions will take place in phenolphthalein also. When you are adding this phenolphthalein to the basic solution, it is going to turn pink, but once you are adding some acidic solution in it, it is going to turn into colorless solution again. So in similar way, this also will be this similar reaction will also take place in the methyl orange. So somewhat this is an indicator, and this is one of the example of reversible reaction. So many more examples of natural indicators are there. So one more example has been discussed here, that is the red cabbage extract, which is obtained from red cabbage leaves, is also a natural indicator. It is red in color. The red cabbage extract remains red in acidic solution but turns green on adding basic solution. So the colorless petals of some flowers such as hydrangea and petunia, these also change color in the presence of base and acids in the soil. So sometimes the acidity and basicity of the soil also decides the color of the flowers. Okay, so this is what is about the indicators which is present in your surrounding, and we have discussed about the natural as well as the as well as synthetic indicators. Now one more type of indicator is there, that is known as olfactory indicator. Okay, that is known as olfactory indicator. Now this olfactory indicator means, this word olfactory we have studied in biology. Okay, so we have studied this in biology. So this olfactory indicator, olfactory means it is the sense of smell. So what do you think about these indicators would be? So olfactory indicators are related to the sense of smell, means something which is related with smell. Those substances whose smell or odor changes in acidic or basic solution is called as olfactory indicators. Okay, so olfactory indicators will change their smell when basic or acidic solution is added to it. Now olfactory indicators are usually worked on the principle when an acid and basis is added to it. Okay, it has having a characteristic smell which could not be detected. Onion and vanilla extract, these are the olfactory, these are the examples of olfactory indicators. Okay, so please remember that onion is going to change its smell as well as vanilla extract is going to change in its smell. Okay, I hope that you all know about vanilla extract. This is used in making, this is used in the baking purpose many a times, and even in the ice creams also it is being used for putting the flavor in it. So this vanilla extract and the onion is also an example of olfactory indicators. Even the clove oil is also an example of olfactory indicators. So this olfactory indicators means this one is going to change the smell. So here this onion has a characteristic smell, everybody knows. When the basic solution like sodium hydroxide solution is added to the strip of cloth treated with onions, that means you are treating this with onion extract, then what will happen? The smell of onion cannot be detected. As soon as an acidic solution like sodium, hydrochloric acid is put over it, it is not going to destroy the smell of onion. This is used for testing the acids and bases. Okay, next is vanilla extract, which also has a characteristic pleasant smell. If basic solution is added like sodium hydroxide is added to this vanilla extract, you cannot detect the smell. Okay, so means it is going to flow away. This smell is not going to be formed. Next, what will be there? All acidic solutions like hydrochloric acid, however, does not destroy the smell of vanilla extract. So means when you are adding any acidic solution in it, it is not going to destroy the smell of vanilla. Similarly, that onion extract is also not going to destroy the smell of the onion extract when we are adding acids to it. So bases could generally be detected by using these two extract. Okay, so when bases will be added, their smell fades away. Remember this. So this is one of the new concept of olfactory indicators. Please remember that olfactory word always means that it is related with smell. Okay, so whenever the change in the smell is going to take place, then it means it is the one of the olfact, it is we are using olfactory indicators to check the acid and bases solution. Fine. Next is, what is the meaning of the word acid? Or it should be known as acids. So the acids are, okay, before going to this, I would just like to tell you that in our surrounding we see that there are so many substances which are present. I'll take the names of some of the fruits and vegetables which are present in your surrounding. Okay, so you have to tell me, acha, okay, first I'll write or I'll tell you the names, like lemon, okay, then grapes, then about oranges and raw mangoes. Okay, now please tell me what all things are common in these 4 fruits which I have told you, which I am asking you. So the fruits, the lemon has, and grapes, then raw mangoes and the oranges, all these are having something common in it. Okay, so they are common in their taste. What kind of taste they are having? They are having a typical sour taste. So it means the sour taste is coming because of a substance which is present here, means the substance which is giving sour taste is common in all these four examples. Even many more examples could be written. Curd is also there, so tomatoes are there. So why, what substance is that which is giving the sour taste? So the sour taste, or this typical sour taste is given by a chemical substance which is known as acids, okay, which is known as acid. Now these acids are sour in taste, fine. So they are giving acidity to any of the material, any of the fruits which is which was written here, and many more examples are there. Next, acids are very corrosive in nature. So corrosive here means that they are going to harm your skin, okay, they are harmful for your body. Now how is this acids harmful for our body? Because acids are of two types, strong acid and weak acids. So whatever names which I have taken just now, that they are present in lemon, they are present in oranges, so if they are harmful, then why we are taking them in? Because these acids are occurring naturally, they are the natural acids and they are known as organic acids, okay. So these acids are not very much harmful for the body as they are present in the natural things. So these are weak acids. So these weak acids are less harmful, so we could consume them as they are rich in vitamin C, fine. Next is the property of acid is that it has the ability to turn blue litmus to red. Just now we have studied about the litmus and the solution. It is going to turn blue litmus to red. So it is going to detect, it is the test of the litmus, it is one of the test of the litmus, which is going to tell you about the acids which are present in the surrounding. Next, it at lower pH, okay, we'll talk about pH and then I'll discuss this property again. At lower pH, the higher acidity is there, and at higher concentration, the positive hydrogen ions are formed in the solutions, okay. Now many chemical substance will be formed when we will study about the pH, and then I'll discuss this property again. Before that, only just remember these three properties, that acids are sour in taste, they are corrosive in nature, and they turn blue litmus to red, okay. Now next thing is that the varieties of acids, these are the types of acids, okay. So what are the types of acids? There are two types of acid. First one is the organic acid and the second one is the mineral acids. Now what are organic acid? As this name is suggesting you, the types of acids, that organic acids are those acids which are found naturally, okay, which are found naturally, which are occurring in the natural substances. Now acetic acid, citric acid, lactic acid, tartaric acid, oxalic acid, and the formic acids, that is also known as methanoic acid, is also these are the some of the common examples of organic acids, okay. So some of the natural sources of organic acids are as follows. Acetic acid is found in vinegar, that is commonly used for it is commonly used as a food preservative. Next, citric acid is also present in the citrus fruits such as lemons, oranges, okay. Now next we will see about lactic acid. Lactic acid is present in the sour milk, that is present in the curd, and tartaric acid is present in tamarind and unripe grapes, okay. Now oxalic acid is present in the tomatoes, which whereas this formic acid is present in the ants sting and the nettle leaf sting. So nettle is a leaf which is having thorns, or they have hair like structure on them. So they also sting on the surface of your skin. If you just come near to these leaves, if you're holding these leaves, then what will happen? They are going to sting you, and it is going to give the burning sensation, which is very much similar to the sting of the ant or wasp. So the ant which you see, which is present, red ant which is there in your home, and they contain one acid that is called formic acid. So please remember that formic acid is present in ants sting as well as in the nettle sting. So these nettle leaves and the ant sting, they are going to form formic acid, which is going to give you burning sensation. Since these are organic acids, so they are naturally occurring and they are weak acid, okay. So please remember, organic acids are always weak acids. They are not going to harm your body once if you are going to drink them, okay. So that is why we drink orange juice and the lemon juice. There is no harm in drinking all these, as they are very much rich in vitamin C, okay. Now next, the acids which are prepared which are prepared in the mineral, which are prepared from the minerals of the earth, they are called mineral acids. So these mineral acids are man-made acids. These are of, there are three most common mineral acids, that is hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid and the nitric acid. So these are the three names, that is H2SO4, that is sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid HCl, and the nitric acid. These are the three acids which are mineral acids, which is found from the minerals which are found from the earth's crust, and also they are prepared in the laboratories. They are also purified in the laboratories. So these are the synthetic acids which are present, and they are known as mineral acids. Now these are very dangerous, okay? So please remember, so they are in the concentrated form. Now what is this concentrated form? Just after 2-3 minutes I'll tell you. So this is very much dangerous in concentrated forms. There is concentrated means it is very very thick, means the viscosity is very high. It is not having water in it. Now it can burn our hands as well as our clothes. Now these acids should be handled with care in laboratories. They are generally mixed with water to make that concentrated acid into dilute form. Now just you have got the concept of concentrated and dilute. So acids are of two types, on the basis of the concentration, on the basis of the presence of water, that is concentrated and dilute. So concentrated means the acids which have water in it, which contains water in it, and which do not contain water. I'm so sorry, that it do not contains water. And dilute acids means they have water. Okay, they have water. So please remember this, that concentrated means there is no water in it, and dilute means that they contain water, some water in it. And according to dilution, acids, the concentrated acid could become a weak acid. Okay, concentrated acids are always very dangerous as they are very much harmful. They are very strong acids. Okay, strong acids. Concentrated acids are very strong acids. Then weak acids means they are the dilute acids. Now we can dilute any acid, whether it is organic or whether it is synthetic. Okay, so we can dilute by adding water to it. And acids should be handled with care in laboratories. Acids are generally mixed with water and make them dilute. Such acids are called dilute acids, and these dilute acids are less harmful, but still, if we cannot drink them, please don't try to do such kinds of foolish activities, as we cannot drink them, because these are not found in the natural things. So they are synthetically prepared, so they are harmful for your body. Next is, you note that one thing is there, this carbonic acid is also a mineral acid, but it is a weak acid. Okay, so this is one exception, that carbonic acid is a mineral acid, but it is very much weak in nature. Okay, it is considered as weak acid, but it is a mineral acid. As just now I told you that all mineral acids are strong, but still this carbonic acid is very much weak in its nature. Now what is the meaning of the word strong acids and the weak acids? All the acids which can be divided into strong as well as weak acid group. Okay, now how is this strong and weak acids being determined? I'll just tell you the examples first. Hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid and nitric acids are called strong acids, and weak acids are acetic acid, citric acid, tartaric acid and carbonic acids. These are the weak acids which are present. Now it is obvious that all mineral acids are strong acid, and only one mineral acid, that is carbonic acid, which is weak acid. Now strong acids are very dangerous to drink. Even dilute solutions of strong acids are extremely harmful to drink. I just now told you that don't try to do such kinds of foolish activities. Okay, so these are the examples of strong as well as weak acids, which is given in this diagram. So strong acids are nitric, sulfuric and the hydrochloric acid, and the weak acids, which are those which are present in which are found in the organic form, they are found in the natural substances. Okay, the next thing is that next is the weak acids. They are present in the diluted form, so they are quite safe to drink. And these organic acids are citric acid, acetic acid, tartaric acid. These are used in the food ingredients. For example, acetic acid is a form of vinegar which is used for making pickles, tomato ketchup, and tartaric acid is used for making baking powder, whereas carbonic acid is used for fizzy soft drinks and soda water. Okay, so next is we can, if you turn the label of these food items which is given here in the picture, or which is present in your home, all the food, packed food material will contain some or the other preservative in it. So one of the most common preservative is the acetic acid, and sometimes sodium benzoate is also used in the form of the preservative, or citric acid is sometimes also used in the preservative form. Okay, so these are the major way by which we can prevent the food from becoming tasteless, or it is not going to spoil if we are adding these food preservatives. So uh, the main purpose for adding these preservative is to pack the food and maintain its taste for a long time. So this vinegar is used as the preservative in pickles and tomato ketchups. Okay, and this carbonic acid is all found in the carbonated drinks, such as this drink is kept here, which is having fizzy appearance. Fizzy means it is having bubbles in it, and bubbles are because of this carbonic acid which is present in the water, which is mixed with this soda water or this colorful water. So the reason being acid being strong and weak is discussed in the later chapter also. Okay, now here comes the value of pH, as well as the how, what is the common things in acid and the bases. We'll discuss this in detail in the further chapter. Now concentrated acid is one of the most important thing, which is used by which is diluted by using minimum amount of water in it. Okay, now concentrated acid could be made in the diluted forms, which will become dilute acid. Now how are you going to dilute an acid? Okay, if you add more water to it, it means it is going to be of lesser strength, it becomes weak in nature. So remember that diluting acid means you are decreasing the strength of any acid. Dilute acid is obtained by mixing concentrated acid with water. The process of mixing of concentrated acid with water is highly exothermic reaction. Okay, so in the first chapter of your chemistry, that is chemical reactions and equations, I have told you that this acid there are different types of chemical reaction. One of the such type of chemical reaction was exothermic reaction. So this exothermic reaction means it is heat producing reaction, where you are when you are diluting any acid, then you have to add water. The dilution of any concentrated acid should always be done by adding concentrated acid to water. Okay, you're not going to add water to acid. Please remember, you will take some water and you will add the acid from the walls by touching the walls of the beaker or any other substance, which is any other instrument in which you are taking the acid. So acid is kept this water is kept in the beaker. Okay, and you will add acid to it. Remember, so this acid will be added to water slowly. It is written here, it is done with stirring and not by adding water to acid. Please remember this. Once you are going in the laboratories, and if you have to dilute the concentrated acid, you will add acid in water. Please remember, and that too also very slowly. Okay, now if you are adding water to acid, then see this diagram, what you are going to see in your laboratory. Okay, so again, you should not try this in your labs, because it is very dangerous process. And when a concentrated acid is added to water for preparing a dilute acid, then the heat is evolved gradually, so and easily absorbed by the large amount of water which is present in it. However, the water is added to concentrated acid to dilute it, then a large amount of heat is evolved at once. Okay, so please remember, if you're adding the water to acid, it means that water is going to absorb much more heat. It means much more heat will be evolved, and it is directly coming on your face, or it is directly coming on your skin. Okay, so heat changes some of this water into steam, and which causes explosive, which has a capacity of explosion also sometimes. So it releases heat energy in the form of steam, which could burn your face. Fine, even the glass container may also break due to excessive heat, and this glass container breaks, then what will happen? This acid is going to be spilled over your slab. The fact heat is evolved during dilution of concentrated acid will be shown here. So see, it's given here how you are going to do. Take about 10 ml of water in the beaker, then add few drops of concentrated sulfuric acid to water and swirl beaker slowly. Means you have to mix it slowly with the help of glass rod. Then next is we have to touch the bottom of the beaker. You will see that beaker appears to be hot, showing that heat is evolved during this reaction. So this is an example of exothermic reaction. Okay, now this was all about diluting the acids. Now I hope you all have understood the much more concept of acids in this chapter, in this video. Okay, so we have discussed about the concept of acids, in which we have discussed about the types of acids on the basis of the occurrence, means they are naturally occurring as well as they are synthetically occurring in the nature. So they are called the organic acids and synthetic acids, or the mineral acids. Next is we have seen the types of acids on the basis of concentration. It is of two types. Then first one is the concentrated acid and the second one is the dilute acids. So concentrated and dilute acids, concentrated acid could be could even be made the diluted acid by adding water in by adding acid in water. Then you can determine the strength of the acid. It becomes weak in nature. Okay, now there is much more there is much more to study in this chapter, that will be done further. Okay, so that's all for today. I'll meet you all in the next video.